We're back, everybody, with legendary vocal coach Jan Smith, Mama Jan.
All right.
She's known by, and I love the CBS special they did on you before the Grammys. That was so good. And one of the things that you said in that special was, "When I get up, Hill says, oh no, she's up." I love that. And I thought, you know what, that lady is a woman of faith. You could just tell, and I believe you share that in your book, Run the Other Way. And just tell us a little bit about your journey of faith.
Well, I think that the biggest thing to say is that we were talking about the vortex of Hollywood, and really for me it was being sucked into my own fall from grace, and into an adulterous relationship with a person that played music with me. And that went on for several years. And it wasn't because I didn't grow up in a Christian home or understand the difference between what was right and what was wrong, if you will. But I made my own choices anyway. I shook my fist at God and said, you know, why can't I have this? And God said, well, you can. But then it took me about 10 years to hear the rest of the answer, and that was, I don't want this for you because it's going to hurt you. And really coming to an understanding of that. The book that you mentioned is really a cathartic chronicling of that process for me of unraveling myself, and also of really surrendering all of that back to God, as well as myself back to God.
Bottomed out.
Absolutely,
Jan,
absolutely.
What brought you back? What can you say there's one thing that brought you back?
Really, if I could speak to all the parents out there, of which I'm not one, of any children of my own, but it was the faith of my parents, and the fact that I had been brought up a certain way, and that influence was the one thing that I could hold on to when I couldn't hold on to anything else.
That's good for Mama who's watching at home.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. We love Sweet Betty, so hey, Mama.
Hey, Mama.
No, it really is. It was about that. You know, that backing that I had when there was nothing else that I could swallow or hold on to. Faith was the cornerstone, literally.
How is the pressure of this industry as a Christian on the level that you work on, when, you know, people see the industry as, you know, having dark places?
Sure.
You know, how is it for you
Salt
as a Christian?
and light, baby. No, you know what? It's for me at this point, being able to be who I am in it. Is the most grace-filled place I know. But to again be in the world and not of the world, but I have to navigate through it, and there are a lot of things that I see, and have to be very, very careful not to judge, and also because of my own shortfall from grace, to know that I'm in no position to judge someone else, but rather to lift them up and to speak into their lives the way that God calls me to do, and then the rest is not up to me, quite frankly.
I appreciated your transparency.
Thank you.
Because there's many of us in similar situations, and I think, as I did, I isolated for years, and reading your book, I felt like that's where you were, in a lot of isolation, and so many people who are caught up in that. And as Christians, doesn't mean we're immune from sin.
No, ma'am.
As a matter of fact, Satan sometimes comes after us even harder, you know, and tries to slip it in. And if we just open a crack for it, but how did that affect you when you were able to come out and be transparent?
Well,
how much freedom did it bring you?
Freedom is an interesting word. I think that what it did is it brought me more responsibility. I don't feel free from that at all, and that's okay with me. I'm a willing participant at this point, but for me, everything came crashing down. I had to relinquish my career, what I thought I was about, my own vanity in it. And the cool thing and the great thing that I would tell anybody is that God is so big and can redeem anything. And I am a walking billboard for that, that if God can redeem me, lift me up, and empower me in the way that He has to be able to continue to speak into other people's lives regardless of my sinfulness. How cool is that? And how big is that?
Well, I guess that's why I say freedom, because as painful as it is as you're going through the process and you almost feel exposed and just, it's out there, there is a sense of, it's done, I'm free, and God set me free to this. But I'm just thrilled that you were so transparent. I think your book is something that will help a tremendous amount of people who they walk through. It brought me to tears in so many places I had to stop. And I love what you said in there, don't stop.
I know this is raw, this is real, this is hard.
Keep reading it.
But keep reading because you're going to get to the redemption side of it. So tell us a little bit about that.
If I can say this too, I believe that the reason why I wrote the book is twofold. One is because we need to beat the church, and we're not.
You're right.
And adultery and sexual iniquity and our own infidelity to God is probably one of the hardest subjects for people to talk about in the church. But if you look at the rate of infidelity and adultery and divorce in the church, it's just as big as in the secular world.
Believe it.
So I'm not the only one, number one. Number two, I think that it really is about transparency, and for me personally, if I'm going to be in a public position talking to other people, I went ahead and wrote the book just because I figured somebody was going to dig up my dirt.
Oh, that's good. Oh, yes, that's good.
So,
and they will.
So why not go ahead and just claim it?
Claim it.
I claimed my own baggage,
Right.
and that's really
God's using it.
absolutely, and in an effort to do that.
That's right.
Jen,
Yes.
what would be your message to the church when
Be the church.
Yeah.
Be the church.
Be the church.
Be the church, because I don't really know. I left the church because I knew what I was doing was a little bit, outside the bounds.
I had to leave
It was a whole lot outside the bounds. But the bottom line is, the church is also where I went back for what I needed, and fortunately found some people who were the church to me.
That's right.
So I think that if we're going to talk about the life of Christ, and he wasn't in a church. He was the church. He ministered to people. He was amongst them. He was amongst them, and he did not judge them. Rather, he lifted them up when he was with them. He loved them.
So good.
Jan, I looked up the statistics because you brought that up. 88% of singles, 18 to 29, are sexually active. 80% of evangelical Christian singles, 18 to 29, are sexually active. So the ratio between supposedly the non-Christians and the Christians, there's not a lot of difference there.
No, and the other thing is we're not even just talking about singles. I'm talking about married people.
There you go.
And I'm talking about in the church and in parishioners too, as well as outside the church. There is really no distinction. And the sad truth and the great truth is that God created us to be loving and sexual human beings within the confines of His love and grace, and that's the messaging. And why we've missed that all along, I'm not really sure. I missed it. I messed up, and so if that happens, other people can find the same grace.
Amen.